Hey friends, Jessica here with Creators Couture. So in this tutorial, we are just going to make a really fun abstract background using my iridescent Photoshop brushes as well as my 24 karat gold ones and some celestial gold mine layer styles. So I'm just going to start off a series of quick tutorials. It's not that I'm not going to worry about them being perfect, worrying about composition so much. It's really just more of a little ditty to kind of get your imagination flowing and give you some ideas for your own works. And hopefully the sound is okay. Hopefully you won't pick up too much background noise because I do have a construction crane literally right outside of my window. So that's why I've got my little microphone here. Anyway, so what we're going to do is just something fun and easy, give you an idea, and you can use this to create your own designs, items for sale, personal projects, whatever you want. So this is kind of the idea here. You can get a little idea of what we're going to make, and we're just going to have some fun. So let's get into it. First of all, I've got my document size. I'm going to make a square background, and I like to work in 1500 by 1500 pixels. But what I do is, because I don't want things cropped off the side in case I want to move things around, I will make my document 1700 by 1700, and then I'll create a little cropped area, and that way I can see kind of my final area that I'm going to work in. But my actual document size is 1700 by 1700. So we've got that set up. And I am going to use the iridescent brushes, the iridescent brush collection, which is available on my website. And what's fun about that is I've got all these color palettes. And so what's cool is you can use the same, like I've got gradient color palettes, I've got the wet palettes, I've got the color blending palettes. And sometimes it's fun, you can use all the same color palette. Um, and that way you know all of your colors are going to go together perfectly. So the one that I chose today was number 28. So yeah, it's right here. So I've got my gradients window open, and these are all of my gradients for this iridescent collection. So this is number 28. So I'm just going to drag this over here onto my document. And now I've got that gradient fill. And let me just see here. Yeah, so this one, put it in at maybe not the angle that I like. I want an angle kind of like this. So I can just click on it. Here we go. So now I've got a 90-degree angle. So all I did was just double click on that. If I don't like the direction that the gradient is going, I'll just double click on that layer. And it's a linear gradient, and I'm going to have it on 90. So I like how that looks. So we'll click OK. And now I will create a new layer above that. And I'm going to start off with my color blending Photoshop iridescent brushes. So this is a really fun collection. I'm going to go over here, make sure that my pattern stamp tool is selected. And I actually, for this, I just grabbed iridescent brush number 2. And now if I go a little fast in this tutorial, I'll have the link down below for my whole tutorial on how to work with these iridescent brushes. But these are just assuming that you're already familiar with the collections and my techniques. So I just want to give you guys some ideas and just, give you a little idea that will serve as a bouncing off point for your own work. So I've got iridescent brush 2, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select the same color palette. I've already got my color palettes loaded. This is my pattern stamp tool technique, and I'll link it down below. But here is, if I hover, it should say, yeah, palette 28. So I'm going to grab that. And now let's just look at this gorgeous brush in action. That's the fun thing about my iridescent brushes, is you've got this beautiful, as you paint, you can see the colors bouncing around and creating these gorgeous iridescent effects. But one thing that I do use a lot with my iridescent brush collection is using my color intensity overlays. So what I'm going to do is, I want those, the iridescents are kind of essentially pastels. But if I want the color to be a little bit more intense, to see those colors a little bit more, I'm going to use my intensity overlays, which come with this collection. So above these 2 layers, I am just going to create a layer new layer, new fill layer, and I'll just make it a solid color. So I'll just click white, and it really won't matter what color this layer is. You could even just do a color fill. But I'm going to put that on there. And then I'm going to click on my, in my styles panel, I have my intensity styles already loaded up. So I'm going to click Intensify 1. And now we've got this overlay, which it's really just like, I think, a black or color overlay. Let's see what it is. Yeah, it's some black overlay, but it creates a bit of intensity, and you can see those colors popping out a little bit more, and it's a little bit more exciting. So I'm just going to leave it on Intensify 1. You could actually click Intensify 2, 3, and then you looking at those colors getting more saturated and more intense. There's 4 and there's 5. So you could create some really funky things, but we're going to be happy with Intensity 1. So that's good. I'm going to leave that on there. And we're going to go back to this layer. And now I can see my colors like popping out a little bit more. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just kind of go through here and create some kind of blobby shapes. And I'm not going to, when you do this yourself, you can take time and, worry about your composition or whatever, but I'm just going to create some like shapes like this and make sure that there's plenty of negative space. So that's cool. I'm happy with that. Okay, now I want to use my wet paint brushes to kind of mix and kind of touch these and create some beautiful like paint stroke effects. So what I will do is I'm going to hold down my Option key, and I'm going to duplicate this layer. And sometimes I like to do this, that way I have a backup of that layer if I don't like what I did or whatever. But you don't have to do that. So I'm going to duplicate that layer. And now I'm going to go for my wet paint mixer brushes from this collection. So I'm going to go over here to my left-hand side and grab my wet paint brush. It might be underneath the brush tool, but I've set up my toolbar on that side so that you can, so that I always have it available. So grab my wet paint mixer brush. Now I'm going to go over, and which brush did I get? No, I think it was brush number, no, maybe 4. Yeah, that's cool. So I just grabbed this brush number 4. It's already preloaded with a different palette, but you can see it's a really nice, gorgeous sort of blendy brush. But what we're going to do is we're going to load that brush with the wet palette that comes with my iridescent brush collection, and I'm going to load it up with the palette 28. So we're all working within that palette 28. So I'm going to open up this PSD file. I'm going to Option, make sure that I'm on my palettes layer. I'm going to Option, click on that palette, and that's going to load. If you look up here, we'll see that that palette is loaded up into this brush. So if I click different places, we can see, different palettes are loaded. But I'm going to Option click palette 28. And then now I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to create some look at how pretty that is. And you see all the colors blending together. So I'm just going to kind of create some beautiful brush strokes and kind of pass through some of those blobs. And then now, and you could just see it the paint of the canvas interacting together, and it just creates a really cool effect. So I'm happy with this. It's feeling like very Lisa Frank, maybe a little bit less intensity, but hold on one second. Let me just save my work here. Don't forget to save. And now, what did I do? Now I want to add some gold, using that same brush, but I want to bring a little bit of wet gold into this. So I love playing with that idea of gold and iridescence. I think it's really fun and fresh. So I'm just going to duplicate that layer again. And now I'm going to open up my gold palette that comes with my 24 karat brush collection. And let's see here. So I'm going to sample from my gold layer here. And I'm just taking the same brush, and rather than having those iridescent colors in it, I'm going to upload some gold. So I've got this intensity overlay on this on this design right now. So I'm going to pick like a lighter gold. So let's just kind of, I'm going to select from right here. I'm going to option and click. That's going to load that color from that layer into my wet paint mixer brush. And now let's just see over here how it looks. So this looks okay. And now if you go from, the cool thing about the mixer brush is it depends on, you know, it can look different and have different colors if you're going from left to right, up to down, what have you. So that's a little bit darker going this direction. And if I don't like the color exactly, I might play around with the where I sample it. So, you know, if it's looking a little dark, sample from a lighter area. So, oh, that's looking even darker. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just going to throw in some gold around here. And just, I'm feeling it. So, but the cool thing is that it's interacting with that layer. So, you know, it's just adding like a real fun element. So let's just play around here. Okay. All right, let's just go with that. It's fine. It's not perfect, but you know, we're cool. So let's go over here. So here's the one that I made first. As we can see, we have some of this going on. Got the same thing. And then now I'm going to add that like chunky, bullion-y type of gold. And so with this one, let's see here. I think that's good. Okay, we're going to go with it. Now, what am I going to do? I need to merge these layers. So I'm just trying to think of exactly how I did that. Hold on one second. Okay. Now the thing is if I'm adding another layer below this and say I add some gold, which I did right here, it's going to be like darker because it's under that intensity layer. So what I want to do right now is kind of merge all these layers and merge that sort of intensity layer that we have here. So here's everything is on one layer right now. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this intensity layer here. I'll create a clipping mask. Oh, now I know what to do. I'll create a clipping mask, but I'm also going to duplicate this layer. And so to duplicate this layer, what I did was I actually just hold down the layer and hit option as I pulled it down. So now I've got the layer above the background, and then I've got these two layers here. So I've got the intensity layer as a clipping mask over my main drawing layer. And so I'm going to group these, and then I'm going to convert them to a smart object. Okay, so that's good. So now everything is one layer. And now I can right click and I could rasterize that layer if I wanted to. And it looks okay. I'm going to show you a little, let me just undo here for a little bit. I'm going to show you something. If I take this group and I just go straight to like merge group. Okay, well that one is okay. But sometimes if you're like merging layers and it's got that adjustment layer, it's going to like really dull out the colors. So sometimes you kind of have to like group them and then merge the group or whatever. So that I'm happy with. So now we've got that all in one layer. I've still got the intensity over the background because we want those colors to go through. And now I'm going to make one layer above that layer and one layer below that layer. And what I'm going to do is I want that chunky gold. And so I'm going to go ahead and apply, let's see what style of gold I have to this. I think it's gold 16. So this is from my Celestial Gold Mine collection. And this is really fun gold layer styles. And sometimes I like to use them. It's kind of similar to my 24 karat gold brushes, but what's nice about the layer styles using sometimes is that you can, it's not set in stone. When you use the 24 karat gold brushes and you paint this and you've got this raw gold sort of effect, it's great, but you can't change the gold style. But if you're using layer styles, then you can change up the gold and you know, you're not fixed on one gold. So like I'm going to just show you and flip through some different styles here. But here I could change it and flip through. So You know, I love my brushes. But the thing is there's a time and place to you do a brush, and there's a time and place to do a layer style. So layer styles are really fun because they're editable. So I'm just going to leave this with gold 16. So what I like to do is I like to, what do you call it? Add the layer style before I start painting on the layers. So I'm going to put gold 16 and click on that. Now, what I have is I don't load up all of my layer styles into my main styles library because I've got way too many styles. So what I do is I put the styles into my Photoshop libraries, and each collection has its own library, and that way I can flip through that way. So that's what I do. So that's why I'm applying it through my libraries panel. So I'm just going to click on add the style to the layer above, and I'm going to add the style to the layer below. And now I'm going to just get a simple brush, use my regular brush tool, and I'm going to grab from my Celestial Gold Mine collection the brush number rough 2. So now I'm just going to add some gold above it and below it. I think I'm going to start below and just kind of put some gold peeking out here. And I think that's like really fun. So just add some kind of little bit of gold, and it's already looking really fun, and I just think it's a cool effect. So again, I didn't worry so much about like creating about my composition, which normally, you know, composition is something you should think about, of course, you know, depending on what you're designing. But what I'm doing here, it's more about giving you an idea for your own work. So I'm just, and I like to just do things fast and just kind of give you an idea. So that's what we're doing here. So I'll just kind of throw some gold above and just playing with this. I kind of like to put it near where there is already some gold. So, you know, but what you could do, like say, is if, you know, you are creating maybe a quote graphic, you could leave the space in the center empty so that you could put some text, but then put your strokes around the side. So, you know, there's like a lot of different things you can do. So this is just to give you the idea, and then you can just have a little fun, but I'll just leave it like that. Here's the one that I created. I usually, and you know, it's abstract, it's funky, but you know, you can use this for so many different applications. You could put this on like a print on demand item, like journals, create, you know, like magical, you know, some kind of a journal thing, like a lot of people are doing that, as you know, side hustles, drop shipping, or Amazon KDP, whatever. So this is just an idea, and it's more fun for me to like give you the idea than to worry about exactly that it's perfect or whatever. So I'll have all of the information down below, and for the different products and like which brushes I use from which collection. And then also I'm gonna have these demo files, the PSD files, and even the ones that I've made here. I'll have them as a flattened image. So this is going to be available to my Behance subscribers. And what's cool is you can even use these on items for sale. So I'm going to have this as a flattened image, and you could use this to create your own template for sale or whatever. As long as it's part of a new work, feel free. Because a lot of the people that are part of my subscription, they create items for sale. And what I'm doing is I want to help you create items for sale. I want you to be more successful. I want to make things easier for you, so my products have real value for you. Because there's a lot of people out there who are like, you know, essentially they don't know who their customer is because they're creating all these items, but they're like, oh, don't use it like that. Don't use it like that. Oh, don't create items for sale. But I know who is buying my products, and I want to actually like empower you and give you value for your subscription or for buying my products. So if you have any questions, just let me know down below in the comments. And hold on one second. I'm just going to give you a little information here. This is my Behance subscription, and you can actually access my huge tutorial toolkit library for $10. And then I also have all of my brushes available on my website. They've been featured on Adobe, Behance, Patreon, and a lot of different things. So Yeah, enjoy that and stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed because I'm gonna like this summer I want to do a lot of these little quickies just to give you an idea. And thanks so much for following along. Let me know if you have any questions, and that's me signing off.